Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Safety Systems. Imagine a 10-foot wide theater screen in your home with perfect 4K quality video, the latest surround sound technology for audio. VFL JJ Surlis and the team at Safety Systems can make that a reality for you. Visit their website, safetysystems.com. Check the spelling there. It's not safety systems, it's safetysystems.com, and you can learn all about the stuff that they do there, and they've been doing it for 20 plus years. Safety Systems. Okay, let's take a look here at the 2022 in-state class, and it is expected to be a good one. Ryan, according to 24/7 Sports, your outfit, there are 12 four-star players in the state of Tennessee, and well, at least four-star. There's 11 four-stars and one five-star up there in Mr. Nolan. Many saying it's the deepest class in the state since the advent of recruiting rankings. The one everybody around here is staring at is quarterback Ty Simpson from Martin. He says he's going to make a choice this week. That doesn't bode well for Tennessee, I wouldn't think, does it?
I generally would agree with that. Yeah, I think Tennessee's got an uphill battle there. That's the one, as you said, everybody's going to be focusing on that one the next 5 or 6 days. I think Tennessee's got a chance. If anybody can make a comeback there down the stretch, it's Tennessee, because he's always liked Knoxville, always liked the idea of kind of being the face of the in-state program. But I think this is a tough one for Tennessee because he's just getting to know Josh Heupel, and Clemson and Alabama offer much more certainty for a guy like that who I think sees himself as a potential Heisman winner and early round NFL draft pick if he goes to one of those schools.
Normally, if a guy like that commits, you think to yourself, well, we've got more time to get in there. Clemson, though, Dabo Swinney's kind of harsh on these guys that commit to him. If you keep flirting around with others, he moves on. Is that not his track record?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It'd be nice to be in that kind of position of power.
Yeah, I mean, if it's Alabama, there's probably a little bit better chance of the door being cracked open, assuming he doesn't pick Tennessee. Now, I won't rule out Tennessee because I do think Josh Heupel and his staff have done a good job so far. Ty Simpson did a radio interview in Nashville Friday where he said he'd already talked at least 20 times with Josh Heupel in a little more than 2 weeks. So they're trying. They've done what they can to make the relationship what it can be, but they've never met in person. I mean, there's some real logistical challenges in this with the dead period for recruiting. So I think it's tough to envision Tennessee being the pick as of right now, but this is maybe one scenario because he is just getting to know that staff, and it's a quarterback-friendly system where maybe Tennessee still has an outside shot at pulling the upset.
All right. When you look at what you just mentioned, the dead period right now, but you got a coaching change, so you're going to have to get to know all these guys. It's a deep class, and that's great. And everybody's going to judge him on how he does with this in-state class. I think he's trying to push a car uphill at this point because you've got NCAA sanctions that nobody knows about that are just hanging out there. He's having to introduce himself to people. If he's having a hard time recruiting defensive coaches, I'm guessing that it'll be just as hard to recruit players. Your thoughts on how he's going to do with this 2022 in-state class? I would say it's a pipe dream for people to think that, he's going to do well. I think he'll do well overall long term, but this year, the in-state class, I'd be shocked if he pulls more than a couple of these guys.
I think he could do well with the offensive players. I don't know that he's going to do very well with defensive players because, as you're talking about, they don't have a defensive coordinator. They've only got one guy on the defensive staff hired at this point that I know of, and it's going to be very difficult to build. Look, when Tennessee, during the most recent, quote, signing day on Wednesday, the first Wednesday in February, most of these schools were out there looking at 2022 players. And Tennessee was way behind in that regard. So I think maybe he can pull some offensive players. I think getting defensive players is going to be more difficult.
Yeah, projecting defensive recruiting right now is generally impossible because
you don't know
they don't know who their coach is going to be. But that will, of course, change. I would agree with what Jimmy said on the offensive side. I would say if your biggest hope maybe is get a guy like Dallin Hayden on board, legacy player, and then maybe that can help you create some momentum of, hey, let's be the group that comes in. Remember 2014, Tennessee gets Jalen Hurd, Todd Kelly Jr. committed early, and that helps build within the state. But you have all these other challenges, these buts that you can add to it. So I'd say keep expectations low. It's going to be tough with Ty Simpson, really tough with Walter Nolan because he can go anywhere he wants to. But with some of the offensive guys, there are reasons that they could get excited.
Okay. All right. When we come back, I want to talk about, and this sounds crazy, why Tennessee should be hoping for serious violations by Jeremy Pruitt. We'll explain that next. Coming back on the Sports Source.